All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special live edition of the World's Wrestling Podcast. It's Narcolepsy Boy 94, Kim Malik here with my co-host Scott Michael, LXG. Gonna talk everything pro wrestling for you guys today. Always feel free to interact in the comments as well if you guys have questions or you want to give your opinions and thoughts on what we're gonna talk about. Talk a little bit of AEW, a little bit of WWE, a little bit of mixture of everything, Money in the Bank. We got some things coming up in the wrestling world. So to start off though, we're gonna do something a little special for you guys. We've been doing these segments that we haven't put out on TikTok yet, but it's for you guys. We'll do a little special occasion. It's called Pick Between the Two. So basically, what's going to happen, Scott has 12 questions written down. I have 12 questions written down, and he's going to name off two things, and I have to pick which one I either like the most or which one I think is better, depending on the rules that Scott's going to give, and vice versa. So we'll start off with yours first. We'll do one in the beginning, and then we'll do one to end the show. So we'll let you start off first, sir.
All right. How many am I going through? How many are we doing right now?
Do them all.
Do them all. All right. Well, then, my friend.
Now, based off this, are we doing this like am I picking which one I think is the best or my favorites?
Well, that's what I'm going to go over. I basically want to know your preference, just what you prefer out of the two. And if it's something more specific, then I'll be more specific on the choice.
Okay.
So, for example, who do you prefer, Sheamus or Cesaro?
Sheamus.
Okay. Which do you prefer, Taco Bell or McDonald's?
Taco Bell.
Very nice. Very nice. If you had to choose one of these two to be your wife, would you choose Monica Geller or Phoebe Buffet?
Monica.
Okay, clean freak. All right. Here we go.
More wife material.
Who do you prefer, Jack Bauer or Jason Bourne?
Jack Bauer.
Yeah.
Bauer.
Jack Bauer. He was Jason Bourne before there was a Jason Bourne.
Jack Bauer is just too amazing. People don't know who Jack Bauer is.
Who do you prefer when it comes to the Fast and the Furious franchise? Do you prefer Luke Hobbs, a.k.a. Dwayne Johnson, or do you prefer Jacob Toretto, a.k.a. John Cena?
I would say Luke Hobbs for now. Cena's he's only done one movie, so Luke Hobbs.
Okay. Which do you prefer, The Wizard of Oz or Aladdin?
Wizard of Oz.
Okay, well, that was easier than I thought it would be. Who do you find more attractive, Nikita Lyons or Alexa Bliss?
Nikita Lyons for a lot of reasons. Alexa Bliss is fine though. She is fine. But Nikita Lyons.
Oh yeah. Do you prefer today's U.S. title design, or do you prefer the Spinner U.S. title design? Spinner. Okay. Who is the better wrestler? I know you got them both right behind you.
Yeah.
Who is the better wrestler, Kenny Omega or Adam Cole?
Kenny Omega.
Okay. Which show do you prefer, Big Brother or Columbo?
Columbo.
Oh, okay.
That was a tough one. Columbo. That was in my top 5. I can't. Yeah, I gotta.
Do you prefer summer or winter?
Summer.
And which do you like better, role-playing games or sports games?
I only used to play sports games, but I think I'm more into like role-playing games now. More into like adventurous games. I would say adventurous games now, man. I used to play with sports games, but now I'm more into the role-playing games now. So I would say that.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, growing up, it was all Madden, all NBA Live. I mean, whatever wrestling game, whatever sports game there was, I was playing it. But as I've gotten older and you just want to dive right into the games, there's nothing like a good role-playing game, nothing like a good RPG.
All right, let's just I'm gonna go ahead and get yours out of the way too. We just go ahead and get them out of the way. So I'm gonna do a pick between the two for Scott right here. Scott's gonna do the same thing real quick, just so you guys kind of get to know us a little bit better. And then we'll go ahead and discuss everything wrestling for you guys. So starting off with you, which do you prefer, tacos or burgers?
Tacos.
Oh, Drew McIntyre's Broken Dreams theme song or Jeff Hardy's No More Words theme song? Which is better?
I'm going to say the Jeff Hardy No More Words theme song.
What finisher do you prefer, ankle lock or sharpshooter?
Ooh, sharpshooter. That's a good question though, but I've always thought the sharpshooter was a damn good submission move and a damn good finisher.
Which album, Carter 2 or Carter 3?
I'm a Carter 2 guy.
Carter 2.
I like the older Wayne. Like the older the Wayne, I enjoyed more. Of course, that was, when I was like really, really into it, really into him. I like the Carter 1. I think the first Carter was one of his best albums. Carter 2 got better. The Carter 3, don't get me wrong, the Carter 3 is fire, but I feel like it was just a little too commercial.
Okay.
More than the Carter 2.
All right. Let me see which one. Which rivalry was Shawn Michaels' better rival? Shawn Michaels and Triple H or Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker?
Probably Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
Okay. Which movie series is better, the Shrek series or the Toy Story series?
Toy Story.
Would you rather see The Rock come back and win the Universal Championship or The Rock never wrestle again?
I would much rather, if that's my choices, I'd much rather see The Rock come back and win the championship.
Let's see. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Kobe or LeBron?
Kobe.
Evolution's theme song or DX's theme song?
Which do I prefer? I'll tell you which one's better is Evolution. Which one do I prefer is DX.
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Last one. Which WrestleMania match was better, Charlotte versus Asuka or Bianca versus Sasha Banks?
Ooh. Man, both were bangers. The Charlotte versus Asuka one really, really just blew my mind because I really didn't think Charlotte was going to win that match. And she made Asuka tap out. But match-wise, man, they're just both so good. But I'm going to go for historical reasons. I'm going to go Sasha and Bianca.
All right, valid. So those are a couple of just pick between the twos for you guys, just to kind of, see our similarities and differences. So let's dive right into some topics in wrestling. Let's talk about the injuries. A lot of injuries going on in wrestling right now. CM Punk injured right now as the AEW World Champion. Cody Rhodes got a big injury. They said he's going to be out for about 9 months, I believe. I think Bryan Danielson suffered an injury as well. Bailey has still been on the shelf for about a year now. She hasn't come back from her injury either. So Randy Orton's injured as well with the back problem. So dealing with a few injuries in the wrestling world right now. We could touch on the CM Punk one at first. So I believe he's still the champion. He's not relinquishing the championship. They're going to do an interim champion between Hiroshi Tanahashi and Jon Moxley at Forbidden Door. And then whoever wins that will face CM Punk later down the road whenever he's able to come back and defend the title. Are you a fan of? I don't know if you watch UFC, but they do this. They do the same thing in UFC when it comes to interim champions. Like if a champion's hurt or you get like a number one contender spot, they could be an interim champion, and then like you face the real champion, and then you fight to see who the undisputed champion is. I guess you could say. Are you a fan of the idea? What are your thoughts on the injury?
I don't dislike the whole interim champion thing. They've done it before, more specifically with the Intercontinental title match, ladder match at WrestleMania 10 between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. But that was more of, it wasn't due to injury. That was due to suspension. Now, I don't follow UFC like I used to. I don't know when it comes to interim champions, if they do that because of injury or if there's like some contract dispute or if there's some substance dispute or whatever the reason may be. I don't dislike him being champion and holding on to it, but I don't like it at the same time. I personally, I didn't feel like CM Punk should be the champion, especially when you watch that match. His age, his stamina, like a lot of things in that ring was just like, man, you're just not ready to hold a major title. Like you can't lead a company right now. I don't care how many butts you're putting in the seat when it comes to in-ring work to somebody like a Hangman or others. My biggest problem with it is CM Punk did this to himself.
As far as injury?
As his injury. The son of a bitch wanted to go and stage dive off of the ramp. And, people might argue with it or not, but you go back and look at the footage and then how he tried to recover, go up the ramp and come down the ramp. When he tried to stage dive, he caught his leg up on the guardrail. And I'm putting money on that's exactly what hurt his ankle. So if he wouldn't have been caught up in the moment, he might not even have to worry about it right now.
Well, I mean, you can't really blame it on CM Punk. I mean, injuries happen to everybody.
Injuries happen, but I mean, come on now. Come on.
I mean, people do that all the time. I mean, that's just like saying, like, you could blame somebody, like, injuries is part of the game, and it happens. I mean, if the move had been done smoothly, then nobody would ever know. But I mean, sometimes things happen, may land wrong, or, just a coincidental thing happened. I don't know how I feel about the interim title thing, though. I mean, I understand AEW trying to stand out a little bit differently than WWE because that's not something WWE done. I know I see someone in the comments saying kind of like CM Punk and John Cena back in 2011, but that was just for storyline purposes. Like, like CM Punk was the champion. Like he beat John Cena for the title, and they just for the storyline purpose. When CM Punk said he was leaving, he was gone for about a week, and then he came back. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess it could be good. I'm not opposed to it. And I can understand why they want to keep the title on Punk because he pretty much is their biggest star in the company. You know what I mean? So I get why they would want to do that. But
I mean, that's all Tony Khan, man. He's just a big he's a huge CM Punk mark, and it's
for
hilarious.
Sure.
Like CM Punk wanted, like from what I've read, he's like, here's the title, I'll be back. And Tony Khan's like, no, fuck that. No, you have to stay the champion. I'm your biggest fan. Please stay my champion. So
yeah, because CM Punk, he knows how the wrestling stuff goes. Like the title has to be defended. You know what I mean? So like, if I can't defend it, then somebody else can take it, and I can just come back and do whatever. But I guess they're trying something different. I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. What I'm hoping to see is that I really want Hiroshi Tanahashi to win the title at the interim title and beat Jon Moxley because I would love to see Hiroshi Tanahashi for CM Punk down the road. And booking wise for me,
that would be interesting to have a New Japan wrestler holding the AEW championship.
Well, it also gets people more familiar with Hiroshi Tanahashi, and some people may not know, but I mean, it depends on if you really watch New Japan or not, and not everybody does. But Hiroshi Tanahashi is basically like the John Cena of New Japan, the ultimate good guy, the ultimate legend. Just done everything in New Japan there is to do. An absolute legend in wrestling, and he just doesn't have enough global, worldwide name as a John Cena would, just because he's been wrestling in Japan his whole life. You know what I mean? Like you really wouldn't know who he is unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan. Like you watch New Japan, or what I'm saying, like you've seen his stuff. And I would. He's one of my favorite New Japan wrestlers of all time. I would love to see him hold a title in America and have a little bit of a run for a little bit, and then him and CM Punk have this big match. And I would love to see CM Punk turn heel in that match and beat Hiroshi Tanahashi, which would be a big deal because, like I said, Hiroshi is like the John Cena of New Japan. So, like, people, if Punk turned heel to beat Tanahashi for the title, people would understand that's like, oh my God, like, Punk beat Tanahashi, but he cheated to do it, or however you want to do it. Now he's a bad guy. And then I would like to see Wardlow take the title from CM Punk. I think he's just definitely top guy material at this point. He's so over. He has to look. I think he's there now, and I feel like if he's the one to beat CM Punk, that instantly helps also elevate his stats as far as the top guy in the company. I mean, beating CM Punk would be a big deal. So I feel like that's what I would personally like to see. I don't know if it'll happen. I know some people want MJF to be in the title picture as well. And then you also got to think about Kenny Omega when he comes back. Where's he going to fall online as well? So it's interesting. It's unfortunate that we got all these injuries. CM Punk's is one of them, and Bryan Danielson is injured as well. It's like a leg injury. I think he got his leg like caught in like the ramp or something like that, between the ramp and the ring. And then Randy Orton, I heard he's been dealing with some back issues. He's been doing the RKO for his entire career now, and I've heard that's starting to kind of wear and tear on his back, I guess you could say. Bailey's been out of action for quite some time too, almost about a year now. And then
yeah, but she just put out a tweet. She put out a tweet of her lacing up the boots, so it's only a matter of time before she comes back.
that's possible as well. And then of course Cody Rhodes, the new recent one. He just had the surgery and everything, so that's unfortunate. But it sucks, man. Obviously injuries are part of wrestling, but it kind of reminds me of like 2016 when they had Orton and Cena and Rollins were all down and they went into that WrestleMania that year and we got Roman versus Triple H. You know what I'm saying? Like, which was awful. You know what I mean?
Well,
so like they were missing a lot of key players.
Well, speaking of that Cody Rhodes injury, I'd love to know your thoughts on the Hell in a Cell match with him and Seth Rollins. Like, how did that match make you feel?
I still don't understand how he even did the match, honestly. I mean, I have a very low pain tolerance, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think if I had to bet, I feel like he did that. I feel like a part of him probably did that to get respect and show Vince that he can depend on him. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't want he doesn't want to lose the spot that he's in right now. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people get injured, and for example, Finn Balor wins the Universal Championship, first ever Universal Champion at SummerSlam. Got injured, came back, and he wasn't even put in the title picture. Like he wasn't even put in the main events anymore. They just kind of forget about it. You know what I mean? So like it's always like, damn, like he was going to be Universal Champion. Like we didn't even get to see the run of him as champion, and he thought when he came back he'd probably get to see it, and then we didn't. So it's like he kind of may be worried, like, do I get my spot back? You know what I mean? Or do I not get my spot back? And I think that was more of him also not wanting to let the fans down. You know, a lot of people paid a lot of money to see the show, and he knew that Roman Reigns isn't here right now. There's no Brock Lesnar, no John Cena, or no, we're the main event. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of people are really looking forward to this. So he's probably thinking, excuse me, I think I could tough this out for just a match. And he did. And definitely one of the most gutsy performances I've ever seen out of any wrestler in the ring. Most of the time, usually you see the wrestlers get hurt during the match and have to pull out, maybe another 10, 15 minutes, maybe another 5. But he did the entire match injured from start to finish. I've never seen anything like it, honestly. I mean, a torn pec completely. Like you saw, those black, purple, and red, and it was just like awful to look at. But Cody Rhodes was already one of my favorites. He was my favorite in AEW. He's my second favorite wrestler in WWE right now. So, I mean, I've always liked him, even back when he was in Legacy and everything. I've always dashing Cody Rhodes. I've always liked Cody Rhodes. I always thought he was better than what the WWE presented him to be during his first run. But now I would be highly upset if he comes back and he's just not involved in anything higher up. Like he's above mid-carder at this point. Like I would love to see him come back and win the Royal Rumble. Because I did have him winning Money in the Bank, and obviously he can't compete in Money in the Bank now. So I just feel like that makes up for this opportunity that probably was going to be handed to him. So hopefully Vince can see that he has something here in Cody now. Like Cody left, reinvented himself, made himself bigger, came back to the WWE when he really didn't have to. He was in a very good spot in AEW. I mean, he was in a management spot. He was, had a lot of creative control over what he was doing, but he gave it all up to come back to the WWE to achieve the ultimate goal that he felt like he has to achieve. That's become the world champion in the WWE.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what, after this match, Cody Rhodes, kind of piggybacking off what you said, I've always liked Cody Rhodes. I've never disliked Cody Rhodes. And it wasn't until he started the whole AEW company where I really, I not even started the AEW company, when he did All In and was able to, pretty much put Meltzer's foot down his throat and say, you know what, I can sell out. That was when I was like, okay, he not only does he know what the hell he's doing behind the scenes, but he's top dog material. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was in the main event that night.
No,
I don't think it was a championship match though.
He wrestled Nigel McGuinness for the NWA title.
Okay, but either way, like, but all right. So a few things. There's so many things running through my mind right now. So I definitely think I would love to believe that Vince McMahon already already knows before that injury, knew what he had with Cody Rhodes just by bringing him back, just by the ratings increase on Monday Night Raw, the Cody countdown. I mean, all these different factors. It's like they know what they have. They have something special. So
Not
I
to
definitely
mention,
think
too, swept Seth Rollins, beat him three
Yeah.
times in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think when he comes back, he'll still be main event caliber. I do not see him going down in the mid card ever again. He's going to be top guy material from here on out. But that match, I'm talking the last time I saw somebody in a match with a torn pec was Triple H in Shawn Michaels' comeback match, the tag match, one of the worst matches in Saudi. It was just abysmal. It was just absolutely terrible. And Triple H tore he couldn't even lift his arm. He couldn't lift his arm. He couldn't do shit with it. Cody Rhodes, we saw what he was able to do with it. But like you said, the man put on a 24-minute match in Hell in a Cell with a completely off the bone torn pec and still had big spots. Now I know there were certain spots that were cut off that were originally planned for the match that obviously they had to scrap. But I mean the Cody cutter, the power bomb through the table. I mean, you name it. He was getting tossed into the cell. You name it. It just, I felt as a fan and as sitting there watching it live, I felt his pain. I felt like I literally was holding my arm and my chest the entire time, just wincing at every single move, just not even imagining.
His performance is up there with like Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell type thing. Like,
well, Dave Meltzer gave it a 5-star.
Giving it I don't keep up with Meltzer, so I don't know.
I'm just saying it's a 5-star match in the Meltzer tabloids.
I'm just saying, like, as far as performance wise and showing toughness, that's up there with Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell. I mean, Mick got thrown off the cell, choke slammed through the cell, had a tooth through his nose. Like, that's up there. Like that's extremely up there. I would put that up there with Triple H when he tore his quad in the match and he competed for like what another 10, maybe 15 minutes with a torn quad. Saying like it torn, couldn't even move his leg. And he still took the shirt. He still took the walls of Jericho on the table. You know what I mean? So it's like that stuff right there is why you appreciate wrestlers and wrestling so much. Like, damn, like they're sacrificing a lot for our entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Even when they really don't have to. Like Cody didn't have to do that match, and he shouldn't have. If you ask me, he should not have went out there at all. And it would have been completely understandable. I wouldn't have been upset about it. I mean, I would have been upset that we didn't get to see the match, but like once he'd have shown the injury, I'd have been like, you know what? Yeah, I can understand now why you're not in the ring. Like that makes perfect sense. But the fact he still
I feel like he thought it was an obligation.
Yeah, I think so too.
Definitely. I mean, it's just that's the type of man he is. Like he came out the next night and he talked about how much of a privilege it is to be able to do what they do. So I mean, we saw it. He sucked it up and he went out there. And if it was the last time, I know it's not going to be because the surgery was successful, speedy recovery, Cody Rhodes. But if that was his last time, hey, man gave it his all and he could walk away happy. You know what I mean?
What do you think about Randy Orton's injury? I mean, there's been rumors going out that Randy Orton and Roman Reigns are supposed to main event SummerSlam. You think it's possible, or because I know that I've heard that the RKO, he's been doing it for so long, and you don't really think of how much like moves can affect people. But I mean, like when they talked about the injury, and he was saying like the RKO starting to wear down on him. I was like, and I was looking at clips of RKO. I was like, he lands on his back like all the time, like doing this move. And the ring is not soft, you know what I mean? So it's like, do you that's maybe why he's also been taking more time off lately too. And last maybe year and a half, so he'd go away for a while and then he'd come back maybe. So maybe the back stuff is bothering him more than we know. So what do you think though? Do you think it's still possible we still get the match at SummerSlam, or you think the injury may be a little bit more serious than we know? Or
yeah, I think Randy will be back sooner than later because I mean I honestly, my opinion of it was I thought this write-off was part of the script. I thought it was on purpose. So, is he dealing with back issues? I personally have not read anything of a legitimate injury on Randy Orton's part. Is he dealing with injuries? Is he banged up? I'm sure he is. I mean, the man's, he's been doing this for a long, long time. And yeah, you have to take care of your body and you have to give your body time to heal. Is it something that I think is serious and it's like a Cody Rhodes or like a CM Punk or anything like that? No, I think he'll be back sooner rather than later, without a doubt. because he was looking fine just recently, and it wasn't up until the attack, the write-off in the storyline, the attack from the Usos after they lost the titles, where it was happening. And I think we all thought for a moment that they were gonna kind of write off Riddle for a moment and have Randy keep going, but they kind of flipped the script on us. So hey, maybe it is a legit, like, a real thing, but back pains suck, definitely, especially as you get older. So I hope he's good. I do, but I don't think it's as bad as what we're being perceived or what we're perceiving it to be. That's just me.
Marquise wants to know, why'd you cut off the Jay White beard, man?
Hey, Marquise, I'll tell you what, when you don't have a barber and you do your own work, sometimes the blade slips, sometimes the clippers slip, or you take a chunk out that you don't mean to take out, and yours truly did that. So I had to take the entire thing off. I messed it up so bad that I shaved completely, but I mean, fresh baby butt, smooth skin. I mean, to the point where Malik was over here calling me, who's the guy? I just went blank. No chin.
Oh, James Ellsworth?
James Ellsworth. Yes. I came on here and he goes, what the hell happened to your beard? I was like, I know. He was like, James Ellsworth. And I was like, yeah, that's how ugly I am without the beard. So I got to get it back, Marquise. I got to get it back.
We'll take a couple of questions here in the chat.
Yeah.
Right here. Want to know your thoughts on Cena versus Lesnar at SummerSlam back in 2014. So, a crazy story I heard. So supposedly, remember that year Brock ended the streak. Daniel Bryan had become champion. The way that Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena, I heard that was supposed to be Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. He was supposed to get so much more heel heat by beating up the biggest babyface in the company at the time and then winning the titles. But then we know Bryan got injured and everything. He had to relinquish the titles and everything. But it was, one of the probably the most dominant performance you've ever seen from anybody. And it's like Brock's so legit to do that to somebody like John Cena. You were just in awe, like, oh my gosh, like it made Brock feel head and shoulders like the real beast. I mean, beating the streak and then destroying the top guy in the company in convincing fashion the way he did, like I felt like Brock was unstoppable at that point. Like, this guy can't be stopped. And those were just two things that he did.
Yeah, that was definitely the point of when it was like, who is going to actually be able to beat this man? And I think that's, partially why he went on the run for as many years as he did, and they tried to build up Roman the way that they did. But hey, I thoroughly enjoyed that match. I don't know about my friend over here, the big Cena fan, but I was all for it.
I was all for it.
I enjoyed the ass whooping that he put on Cena. So it was it was like right after it was shortly after he returned. So it was just nice because I had been waiting for so long as an anti-Cena guy for somebody to come and just, somebody's got to beat this man. And not only did he beat this man, he beat the brakes off this man. So it was fun for me to watch.
Do you think Roman's going to wrestle at SummerSlam? If yes, who would you like to see him face? That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Who would I like to see him face? I'm sticking with my answer. I'm sticking with Bobby Lashley. That's what I want to see. I want to see Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley. I would love to see Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think Randy and Roman probably would put on a better match. But as far as hype wise, for me, Bobby versus Roman, that's money for me. That's what I want to see.
I mean, as far as hype wise for myself, I can't disagree. But I think the marquee matchup would be Roman versus Orton. I think Orton's just a bigger name and can get more publicity than Bobby Lashley at the moment. And that's who I think it's going to be. I don't think there can be a bigger main event at SummerSlam as of right now. I mean, like I said, like we've just talked about, Cody Rhodes is out, so that's not even an option anymore. But maybe we see.
What about Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins?
Now, I'd love to see that too.
That's a big main event right there because I mean, Roman still technically hasn't beaten Seth. You know what I mean? Like the Royal Rumble, he got disqualified, so he hasn't beaten Seth yet.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think that's.
But can Seth Rollins afford another big loss though? That's the question. I mean, he's lost 3 to Cody.
That's probably the reason why it wouldn't happen, because Rollins definitely has to get some W's under his belt.
Yeah.
especially after dropping 3 in a row to Cody. He's definitely got to get some momentum back. But Seth is that guy. He's like, he's like the Shawn Michaels. He doesn't have to win in order to still be, the legitimate threat or to be the best in the business at the time. So, currently, whatever. But he can keep losing and maintain his status.
2022 wants to hear your opinion about Judgment Day. So we talked about it a little bit. I'll let you start. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I posted on something on our Royals Wrestling Podcast TikTok page about we were talking about it just over a month ago, and we were doing our backlash predictions because it was AJ versus Edge, and we were trying to predict what would happen, and we were talking about a new faction member, and of course the obvious one at the time was Finn Balor, and that's the one that we kept hearing rumbles of, and the problem I had with it was I didn't want to see Finn Balor join Judgment Day because as the original leader of the Bullet Club, the biggest faction since the NWO, I felt like Finn Balor needed to be a leader and not a follower, or a lackey is the term that I used. But they kind of threw me for a swerve too. So they have Finn Balor join, which I'm like, okay, whatever. And then they turn on Edge, and I guess I'm under the impression that Finn Balor is the leader at the moment, and I am perfectly fine with that because this gives a little bit more credibility to Finn, and this can help elevate him more. And I kind of like Malik. You touched on this. I kind of like the fact that it's a few old NXT members. So I'm digging it.
I put 2 storyline scenarios on my TikTok page. You guys can go check it out if you want to see it. One culminated to maybe Bray Wyatt coming back and being the leader, and the other one culminated to maybe Triple H is the mastermind behind all this, and he puts his group together, try to take down and take over the WWE, and then Vince is trying to form his own little group to kind of like, the Alliance kind of hang over again, but this time it's just more, it could be done better, I'll say, storyline wise. So we'll take more questions.
I like your second take on it, though. Not Triple H being the leader, but the other guy that you talked about being the leader and the one behind it all. I like that one.
Bray Wyatt?
Yes.
Yeah, possibly.
Yes.
Could be possible. So
they said that. I'm sorry, real quick before we switch it up, because they said that the rumor is they wanted the Judgment Day group to be more of a supernatural group, which is why, and Edge had a problem with it, which is why they kicked him out, or Cody Rhodes' injury. But if that's the case, the supernatural aspect to it, go watch Malik's video because it was wonderful. It was perfect. And to have Bray Wyatt come back, the Fiend, or not even the Fiend, but just Bray Wyatt come back in some way, shape, or form to be the mastermind, the leader behind Judgment Day, I think would be spicy.
I think the possibilities of that happening, though, if you had to guess from a scale of 1 to 10,
I'd put it at a 5. I mean, it's a 50-50. 50-50 booking at its finest,
So let's touch on Money in the Bank. I see some people were asking about the Money in the Bank. Originally, I don't know if you did too, but I had Cody Rhodes winning the men's Money in the Bank, and I had Rhea Ripley winning the women's. But now Cody Rhodes is injured, and Rhea Ripley is facing Bianca Belair for the title at Money in the Bank. So neither of those situations will happen. Tell me who you would like to see win Money in the Bank, and then we'll discuss people that we want to see win Money in the Bank. So for you, who's somebody that you would love to see win? Maybe that probably won't happen, but somebody that you think would be so dope to see.
Well, I think something that we just touched on that would really send him back to the top would be Seth Rollins.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that, man. A lot of people are talking about Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins would be cool. I'm not opposed to that. I'm gonna say Bobby Lashley though. I want to see Bobby Lashley back in the title picture.
I'd love to see that.
Plus, it could call me into the story last year. Bobby Lashley got cashed in on by Big E, and then now he has the Money in the Bank now, so he can use that to his advantage. If I had to pick for more shock value, I don't think people are going to like the answer, I got to say. But
don't say Omos. For the love of God, don't say Omos. Oh, my God.
It's Omos, man. For shock value, I mean, either him or Braun Breaker, but I don't think Braun Breaker is relinquishing the NXT title anytime soon. I think he's probably going to hold on to it for a little bit. Or maybe somebody like a Kevin Owens. They could give it to Kevin Owens and put him back in that title spot. I mean, he hasn't been in the world title picture in quite some time. So that could be cool. But I mean, shock value wise, I mean, Omos, I wouldn't be. Honestly, I don't think I'd be mad at that. I don't think I'd hate it.
I don't even know if that would be so much of a shock or more of a disappointment. He probably wouldn't even have to climb the
ladder. He could probably just stand there and grab it himself. He's so tall. You know what I'm
saying? That's just reach up, grab the briefcase.
Reach up and grab the briefcase. Honestly, I think it would be shocking. Like, people probably would expect to see something like that this early from him. You know what I mean? So I think if they want to go that route and try to focus on building a fresh new star, that's something you could do, because I mean, Money in the Bank originally was used for that. I mean, look at the first people who won it. Edge. Edge wasn't a main event guy before he won Money in the Bank. He'd never been a world champion before until then. Rob Van Dam, same way. Mr. Kennedy was going to be that, but then things happened. CM Punk twice back-to-back years at WrestleMania. They used it for Jack Swagger. You know what I mean? So like, the Money in the Bank was used to help build new guys for the future, and it worked tremendously. With the first how many times they did it, you know what I mean? So if that's something they want to do, they could go that route. If they want to I'll say this. There are two things. If they want to make the fans really happy, I think Seth Rollins is the choice at this point, especially coming off the 3 L's by Cody Rhodes. The Seth Rollins fans are not too happy with that. So they definitely want to see more from Seth Rollins. So if they want to go as more of making the fans happy, I don't think people would be too upset about that. If you want to go more of the shock value and probably to piss people off, I think Omos would definitely shock some waves.
That definitely pissed people off too. Yeah, I think Seth, I mean, you know, I was just sitting there thinking about it. Like, Seth, he could use that momentum like we just touched on. But I think the likely candidate is Finn Balor, now that he's the leader of Judgment Day now.
I would say right now my 2 picks are Finn Balor and Becky Lynch. Those are the 2 people that I see winning the Money in the Bank this year. Finn Balor now, because of the whole Judgment Day thing, and I think it would just make sense, and I feel like he needs this. It's time now for Finn Balor to shine and to get that push. If it ain't gonna happen now, it's never gonna happen. So it's time to finally elevate Finn Balor up. And for the women's, I just think it's gonna be Becky Lynch. If you look at how she lost the triple threat match, she hit her finisher on Asuka, and then Bianca stole the victory type thing. You know what I mean? So I definitely see if Becky's in the match, I think she's the favorite for me to win. But as far as for both, probably last year Finn Balor would be the 2 that I would love to see win the most. For the women's, I wanted Rhea Ripley to win it, but she's not in the match anymore. So if I had to pick one for the women's, I mean, somebody that I would really love to see win it, I'm gonna say Bayley. I hope Bayley can come back and be in it. I mean, she's already won the Money in the Bank before, but I would love to see Bayley get back in that shot. If they're going to try to focus on building up somebody new for the division, I would say Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel would be somebody that I'd be fine with winning. I think she has a lot to be a future star in the business. I know Lacey Evans qualified tonight, which I wouldn't be opposed to that. I wouldn't be too upset with that, but I don't know if that's the right choice for me, personally. So as far as who I think will actually win, I think it would be Finn Balor and Becky Lynch.
Yeah, if I had to pick who I think WWE is going to book to win the women's Money in the Bank, I'm going to go Alexa Bliss.
Okay.
I'm going to go Alexa. It's been a long time, and a lot of people might be disappointed if that was the case. But it's been a long time since she's had a championship run. She's become kind of stale since the whole debacle with Bray Wyatt and how that all played out, and her little Lily doll and shit like that. So she needs another kickstart, and I think that might be the way. And then I'm not sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I know you're the best. That would make her the first 2-time women's Money in the Bank winner, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't see them them putting it past that to happen. But as soon as you mentioned it, I think Bailey is a high probability. If she's tweeting out pictures of her lacing up her boots and she's ready to go, bring her back for Money in the Bank. Let her win that briefcase, and that would be a breath of fresh air that I think the women's division also needs.
I agree. I'm all for it. Who's somebody that you doesn't need the Money in the Bank, or somebody you don't want to see win? Who's somebody that would win that would upset you?
Probably Becky.
Becky?
Probably Becky. I don't think she needs it. Storyline wise, I could see how that would make sense, but I don't think she needs it. I feel like if she was to win it and just thrust her right back to give her a chance anytime she won it to go after the title, I just you know, I don't know. I just don't like this whole big time Bex gimmick either. I miss the man. I really miss the man. But I think that would probably be the only one.
And there's nobody for the men's, then you'd be upset.
If it was Omos, I'd be extremely upset. that's not something I would love. I would not pay to see that. I'd be like, give me back my $5, Peacock. I don't want that shit.
I would probably maybe say Becky as well. I don't think Becky really needs it, but I wouldn't be like pissed off about it. I would just kind of be more disappointed, like, oh, somebody else could have got that. You know what I mean? But it is what it is type thing. So, yeah. So if you guys have some questions, you guys want to ask here, feel free to ask.
Yeah, come on, chime in. Let's interact.
What else you want to touch on though? I mean, the injuries.
Well, I need to know. I need to know your thoughts and your opinion on the so-called pipe bomb that was produced by Maxwell Jacob Freeman. When you first saw that promo, did you think it was real? Did you think it was a work, or did you think it was a shoot?
Both.
Okay.
I feel like the stuff he was saying, he really felt was true and probably was true. But I feel like as far as it being planned, I think it was definitely planned for the show. Like, as soon as he dropped the F-bomb, they instantly bleeped it out. You know what I mean? Like they knew he was going to say it. So it was still coincidental for that. But MJF is probably the best on the mic in the game right now. I mean, he's top tier when it comes to mic skills. I mean, he's at the point now where he can put a microphone in his hand and I'm listening. I'm going to see what he's going to say. Because you don't know what he's going to say. So it could be something very wild. It could be something very calm, cool, and collected. It could be something that makes a lot of sense. It could be something that's funny. You know what I mean? So I think he's top tier on the mic. As far as
do you think it was better or worse, or even slightly similar or comparable to the CM Punk pipe bomb?
I think it's similar. I think they both were speaking about that. I mean, obviously, they both were speaking about things in the company they worked for at the time that they felt and their frustrations that were going on with when CM Punk was there. He had his frustrations there. MJF seems like he's had frustrations here. But CM Punk, let's not get twisted. He started the whole pipe bomb movement. I mean, anytime anybody cuts a promo like this, they call it the pipe bomb. The AJ Lee pipe bomb, the MJF pipe bomb. You know what I mean? Like the Seth Rollins pipe bomb. So anytime anybody cuts a promo like this, it's instantly called the pipe bomb. CM Punk started it all. He trendsetted that wave. For me though, I mean, MJF was more intense because he was able to, he could drop the F-bomb and he could say stuff like that because AEW isn't a PG product. But I don't think it's going to be hard for me to put anybody's pipe bomb over CM Punk's, just because when he first did it, that was the really shocking thing when he first did it, because he was saying shit that like you just really don't say on TV about a lot of things, and it was kind of, it had people buzzing about it. Like people were like, I remember going into school the next day, people were like, yo, like, did he just expose something? Like he talked about Cena and he talked about Vince and Triple H, and they're saying that the company be better when he's dead. And they were like, bro, like what, like is this real? Like is this like we didn't know what was going on? Like is he allowed to say that? Like was it like that in the script? Like so it just had you all over the place, and that got people back into wrestling too. Like some people saw that and were like, wait a minute, like, oh, this CM Punk guy, he was saying things that I think a lot of people felt at the time, especially when it comes to like John Cena, people who were anti-John Cena. He was saying things, when they were cutting promo battles, not even just the pipe bomb, but he would say stuff about Cena, and the people who didn't like Cena were like, yeah, that's how we feel. Like that's how we felt for years now. Like he gets it, you know what I'm saying? And maybe people who knew some were into more behind the scenes stuff, and he would expose some behind the scenes stuff, and they were like, oh, like so that was true, or we could kind of tell that was the case, you know what I mean? So he would just say shit that you just don't see other wrestlers say, because John Cena's not gonna say that, Triple H is not gonna say that, you know what I mean? So it was just cool for him to kind of transcend that. MJF's more MJF though I think was more intense though because when you drop curse words and shit like that, and it makes it more intense instantly. You know what I mean? And if you drop the F bomb on live TV, that's pretty big. That's instantly gonna get a reaction. It doesn't even matter what you say. It could even just be, you know, he called him a fucking mark, but I mean, he could have just said like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? And people be like, oh my god, you know what I'm saying, like, it's like, what did he just say? So, and anytime you drop the F bomb on live, especially on live TV, like, come on, bro, people are gonna be like, what do you say? Like, did he just drop the F bomb, or like, am I tripping, or like? So, I definitely think it shocks waves though. I think people, what MJF is doing, I think he's trying to make a bigger name for himself. He's trying to make himself marketable and valuable. So when the time comes, because I think he will go to WWE at one point, the WWE will use him the way he probably feels he wants to be used, because he probably sees things in WWE like, okay, that person was good, but we saw how they did him on the there, so they probably didn't like him. So I got to make myself stand out differently. So maybe Vince can like me. You know what I mean? So if I go there, not only they can pay me a lot of money, but I'll be in a good position spot secured within the company. So I think he's using his mic skills to his advantage. He's a good wrestler, but he knows that his strength is on that microphone. You know what I mean? He knows that he has people in the palm of their hands. He has their attention when he speaks. So he's using that to his advantage. CM Punk was the same way. CM Punk he put on good matches, but he knew that his strength was on the microphone. When he talked, he had the power. You know what I mean? So the people were there with him when he was speaking. So MJF, I think, is doing the same thing.
Yeah. So this is my thoughts on the MJF pipe bomb. First reaction was I absolutely loved it. I had Dynamite on my phone. I had my headset in, and I was in the middle of going back and forth watching this while giving my daughter a bath. So, this was during the promo. So I'm listening to this, and I'm like, is he really just saying all that? Like, hold on, baby, sit right here in the tub for a second. I'll be right back. I got to go see the rest of this. I do not think it is better than the CM Punk pipe bomb, solely because of how much he had to curse. I agree by him cussing. It was definitely more shocking. It did what it needed to do, and it did what it was supposed to do. And it definitely it was definitely more intense and made me feel that it was more intense because of that factor. However, if you have to constantly say shit and fuck every other sentence just to get a reaction out of people, are you really that good? I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying if you're that good, you don't need to constantly do that. They were in LA for the first time. There were a lot of important people in the audience that were, interested in seeing the AEW product for business reasons. I do believe that this entire thing has been planned out. I do believe. I don't believe he's unhappy with his money. I don't believe he's unhappy with his contract. Yeah, this is completely a storyline. He has stated in interviews that he fully understands that there is no renegotiating his contract without extending his time. So he said he's not going to do that. He is going to wait for his contract to expire to pretty much give in to the highest bidder. So my take on the whole MJF promo is he is doing in almost a better way what Brian Pillman was trying to do years ago by blurring that line. We all know that that MJF is great at the kayfabe thing, like keeping his character constant. There are slight little instances where we will see him react in a different manner, whether that's a laugh or whether that's even some scenes from that up and coming show, AEW karaoke in the car or whatever they're doing now.
Carpool karaoke.
Carpool karaoke. There was some subtle things where you could just, if he was so fucking miserable and so unhappy, he wouldn't be doing shit like that. He is, like you said, he's investing in him. And he has created a buzz to where up until, unfortunately, it was so shortly after the pipe bomb where, of course, everybody was talking about the Cody Rhodes injury.
Right.
But he did something that the entire world was talking about. I mean, I went to work the next day, and I had people that I know don't watch wrestling, and I know probably didn't know what AEW was, and they were coming up to me and was like, "Hey man, I heard this guy went off," similar to like what you were talking about when you went to school about the CM Punk promo.
Yep.
So the promo resulted in what it was supposed to do. So all in all, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was fucking fantastic. But yeah, I think
what type of storyline do you think it is?
I think it's going to end up leading to him to being the AEW World Champion.
So you think it'll be? What if it leads to a match between him and Tony Khan? What if it's Tony Khan versus MJF?
No. I think it's going to lead to. I think it's going to eventually lead to a match with him.
Hold on. I'm just saying. I mean, listen. When it comes to storylines like that, sometimes as the owner, Vince McMahon sets an example for that. You know, you got to get your ass whooped sometimes to make the story better. Or and I think that maybe that could be the case. Maybe Tony Khan feels like he needs his respect. Maybe he wants to show that, hey, I'm all in for this wrestling stuff, and I'm willing to go out there and take a beating like a Vince McMahon would to get the respect of the fans and to tell a good story. So I mean, what if it's like stipulation, like, hey, if MJF wins, he gets a shot at the world title. If he loses, he's gone from the company. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. I mean, it'd be interesting. I'd be interested in it.
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't be interested in it, but there would be some judgment on my part, because if Tony Khan wanted to decide to step into the ring, he would just be riding Vince's coattail. Like, I just feel like that would be a copycat thing to do. I don't think Tony Khan, I don't think he needs to be in the ring, nor do I think he looks like he should be in the ring. I mean, he's probably smaller than I am, and I'm a $180, you know what I mean? So, I'm sure if it got to that, I mean, you know, people would probably I'd tune in to see it. It would be, you know, people would then compare it to Austin versus McMahon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the route they should take. If that's the route they want to take, I mean, that's up to them. But I don't know if it's the route they should take. I definitely think it's culminate into a CM Punk match.
I think it's interesting. I think it draws money. It definitely keeps speculations. It keeps people wondering what happens. I mean, Tony Khan versus MJF, Tony Khan's first match ever. What's the fuck's going to happen here? You know what I'm saying? Something has to give. And it's a screwy finish going to happen. Is Tony Khan going to get his ass whooped? Is MJF going to lose? You know what I mean? So I think it keeps speculations.
I wouldn't say some WWE stuff.
It could
that would be some WWE stuff. I mean, like I said, that would just be. I don't know. I don't know.
I think. Well, I mean, it's all about business is business. I mean, it's hard to not copy anything that any wrestling company has done. I mean, they've all done it. WWE's done it. TNA's done it. They've all copied each other from some point manner. It's part of the business. And it's really, like I said, it's really hard not to copy anything that anybody does, because there's been everything that's been done already. So, like, what more can you? How much more stuff can you really try to create on your own to make yourself stand out, to be more unique, that hasn't been done already? So, I think it's all about, it's all about storyline purposes. It's all about the beef was between him and Tony. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Like, it makes sense.
I think if that were to happen, it would be blatantly obvious that it was all a work and that it was all planned out.
Yeah.
So if he stays away and that doesn't happen, you know, and Tony Khan does not get into the ring and try to have a match with him, it makes it more believable. It makes it it blurs that line a little bit on, is this really still real, or is this part of the show? Like, is it supposed to be happening? But if Tony Khan wants to step into the ring, then it's just like, okay,
maybe it's not even a ring. What if it's just like, it could be like a parking lot brawl, saying like a fight somewhere.
I mean, still, it would still be all part of the show. You know, it would just be blatantly obvious.
It would still be a part of the show, but I mean, eventually something has to go. If it's a story, some type of thing has to go with Tony Khan. Like, Tony Khan can't keep ignoring MJF. Like, there has to be some type of interaction, a promo or something. Like, there has to be something done. You know what I mean? So maybe he can have Tony Khan can find somebody to represent him and fight MJF. You know what I mean? I don't know, but if it's a storyline purpose, I mean, there has to be some type of interaction, I feel like. between him and MJF. And I mean, Tony Khan versus MJF, whether it's a parking lot brawl or if it's in a supermarket or if it's actually in the ring or whatever it could be. It's going to be interesting. And people are going to want, especially the AEW fans, they're going to want to see what happens. Like, what can Tony Khan do in the ring? And what's going to happen here? Like, is Tony Khan going to screw MJF? You know what I'm saying? Is MJF going to destroy him? It's like, it keeps you thinking about different scenarios of what's going to happen. And that's what they probably want. It's just like with this pipe bomb promo, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, is this a shoot or just real? Like, we don't know. So people are speculating. We're only speculating about what this could be. That's just the same thing, and it tells more for a good story. Now, obviously, if they had a match together, you would know more to work. But as far as it's more speculation of what's going to happen there, MJF, like I said, does he win? Does he get screwed? Does Tony Khan? What can Tony Khan even do in the ring? You know what I mean? So it's like it keeps your speculations going out there, and I think that's always good for business when you're speculating on stuff that you really don't know what's going to go down.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, I do think it's all the work. I don't know where it's going to lead to. I think it's going to lead to MJF, of course, becoming the champion at some point, and maybe he can be that rebel champion like Stone Cold was, and maybe that's what they're going for. But I definitely think that he's definitely building his own. He's invested in himself. He's definitely building his own self-worth. So when his contract is actually up, what is it, 2024, 2023?
2024, yeah.
Yeah, that auction market starts, and it's just like, all right, sold to the highest bidder. Here you go, MJF, go to this promotion now. So I'm excited to see how it plays out, and I'm really I can't wait to see him back on television though. Like, it was a bummer that they've he wasn't there this week, and apparently they've taken him off all the websites. So I don't know if that's like also taking shots at WWE because of what they did with Sasha and Naomi and everything. So again, I think this is all planned out and everything, but it's just such a good time to be a wrestling fan. I don't even care what's going on. It really is a good time to be a wrestling fan. So I'm enjoying it all.
Yeah, a lot of things are happening right now. So, only time will tell whether it's a work or a shoot. We don't know. I mean, it's only gonna determine for the future. So as far as Roman Reigns' championship run, a lot of people are, feeling like he's gonna be part-time now because he hasn't defended the title since April. He's gonna defend it next week against Riddle, but we haven't, like I said, he hasn't defended it since he's won it. Do you feel Roman Reigns is going to take more of the part-time schedule, and do you think it's the right thing to do? Do you think they should have never unified the titles? What do you think?
No, I don't think he's going to take a part-time schedule. I don't think it was a mistake unifying the title. Like we touched on with Randy Orton. You do this for so long, and night in and night out, and you're traveling and you're beating the shit out of your body. Your body needs time to heal. Your body needs time to heal up. And to give him, I don't care if he's the champion, piss people off. To me, this makes the title even more prestigious. But give him some time to let his body heal up so he can continue on with his reign and his run. Just significant. I mean, you got SummerSlam coming up, which is going to be right here in Nashville at Nissan Stadium. He's going to be there. He's going to be on SmackDown next week. So if you're not, if you're not getting title matches at pay-per-views, at least we know we're getting title matches on regularly scheduled programming. So just because he's not there every single week, we as wrestling fans, we get greedy and we get selfish, but we also got to remember that these guys are human and their bodies hurt. So you have to take a little bit of time just to kind of, charge up, to recharge. You got to stick the plug into the generator. You just got to refuel sometimes. And I think that's what he's doing right now, because he just went on. I mean, when he came back, during the pandemic era, he's been doing this ever since, and he's been at every single show, every single house show. So give the man a break, let his body heal up so he can come back and continue to piss everybody off.
Well, I feel like some people may see that as an excuse, though, because that's not how wrestling has ever been. Anybody who's always been the champion is always there, whether it was Ric Flair or John Cena or Stone Cold. When you're the champion, you show up. You got to be there. Everybody's injured. Everybody's hurt. I don't think anybody's 100% healthy, but I think a lot of people feel like just because you have both titles right now and there's no world champion. I mean, they've done it before with Brock and everything, but a lot of people feel like, Roman Reigns is turning into something that he talked about he didn't want to be. He didn't talk about he didn't want to be the Brock Lesnar, and now he's kind of turning into that. So I think Brock Lesnar he's changed the game when it comes to the part-time schedule stuff. I mean, he was the first legit guy to kind of show people like, hey, if you're over enough and your name is as valuable as mine can be, you could still make a lot of money and you could work lesser dates than everybody else. You know what I mean? And when it first happened, it was frowned upon on a lot by a lot of people. A lot of people didn't like it, but now I think it's become more accepted. And I think for the future, you'll probably see a lot more champions do that. The more over you get, the more money you're going to get paid. And I think the more time they're going to ask off to spend time with their families or unless they're scheduled for something else. I think John Cena is probably the last legit WWE superstar who is going to go hard full time for a consistent base for 10 years. He did it on top until he decided to leave and pursue other things out of the company. He's probably the last legit full-time guy that we'll probably see. I think towards the future, a lot of people are going to start opening more up towards that part-time stuff because I think it's going to get more accepted. And Brock Lesnar has made it that way. Well, he's changed the game, which isn't a bad thing. I can respect it. I can't say I wouldn't do it. But I think Roman Reigns is kind of realizing that. Maybe a couple years ago he didn't see it that way, but now he's realizing, okay, I'm the man now. I'm the guy. I'm making all this money, but maybe I can use my events a little. Maybe I can take some time off, spend time with my family a little bit more. Maybe I can take more time to see other options out there, or maybe a movie or something different, whatever is in his life. But I can understand people's frustrations though, because there are a lot of old school fans who grew up. You know what I'm saying? When you're the champion, you're there. Or you're just always there consistently. Like, the part-time stuff really didn't start happening until Brock. Before that, everybody was always there every week, unless you were hurt, like in like a surgery injury, you just took time off. But even that, people always found ways to come back quicker than they could. You know what I mean? So I think this people feel like now that Roman Reigns is turning into what he spoke about he didn't want to be before, and now he's turning into that guy. So now people are calling him a hypocrite for that scenario. But I think he's just getting smart and hip to the game now. I feel like he's just realizing, this could add on more longevity to my career, and it could keep me at top longer. You know what I mean? Like I said, I feel like John Cena is probably and John Cena had a lot of injuries through that time too when he was on top. You know what I'm saying? Going hard full time. He had the herniated disc, the tricep injury, he had the Achilles injury that he dealt with for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But he always found ways to come back quicker than ever. But I mean, when you're going hard for like that so long, you do get hurt a lot more. And I think Roman Reigns is probably like, you know what? Take a little bit step back and do my thing for a little bit, and then I'll come back and and defend the titles here and there on special occasions. I think they're probably going to use him more. They've already been using him more, kind of as a special attraction, because next week on SmackDown will be his first match on TV since when? Like what? Since maybe last year, at some point. He doesn't wrestle much on TV anymore, so they're using him more of a special attraction because he's elevated himself up bigger than everybody else on the roster now. So I just feel like I see both sides. I mean, I only really thought they should do the unification match if the brand split was going to end, because I don't think WWE should have the brand split anymore. The roster just isn't big enough for a brand split for me. But the brand split is still there, so I don't really
kinda.
I never liked the. I didn't really like the idea of the unification match. I understood it and I accepted it, but it's kind of I guess it's like a worst case scenario for the fans, because WWE was hell bent on doing the unification match, and Brock and Roman was going to be the main event. So I mean, if Brock had won, we hadn't seen Brock since WrestleMania, so he'd be part time right now too. So if he was a champion, he wouldn't be there. And Roman Reigns hasn't defended the title since then, so it's like a lose-lose situation for a lot of people, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a common thing for Roman Reigns. I don't think he's just going to come in, do his thing, and then dip out for a couple months, come in, do his thing, dip out for a couple months. I think this is literally a one-time thing. Again, you talked about how wrestling was before, but let's go back to what it was before that. And when you only had 4 pay-per-views a year, you only had 1 show a week, so you weren't, the schedule wasn't as demanding as it had become. And now we live in a post-COVID world to where a lot of people are more aware of their physical health, their mental health, and just what is really more valuable. And that's your family and loved ones. And of course, your health, your personal health. So I don't I don't dislike it, and I think everybody that are quick to judge and critique, just slow down, We're getting the man back in a week. He's going to defend the title. He's going to be on television. It's not even going to be at a pay-per-view, so you'll be able to see it for free. And I mean, think about it. I mean, you go to work and you do this, and you're not even putting your body through this type of physicality on a regular, but you go to work so often, after a couple months, you're ready for a damn vacation yourself. So just chill, let it appreciate it for what it is. And I could be wrong. I mean, he could become a part-timer, but I don't think it's going to be a full-time, part-time thing. I think this sabbatical that he's taken right now is a one-off thing. And until he loses the title, whenever that may be, I think we'll see him every single time once he comes back.
Could be. I mean, only time will tell. So we really don't know the scenarios right now, 100%. So, like I said, only time will tell of what this really is for Roman Reigns and what this means. I definitely want to see him hold both titles, though. If he is going to take more of a part-time schedule, he's got to drop at least one of them, so there can be a world champion on the roster. And there have been rumors that he's not going to wrestle at Money in the Bank. So, I mean, that's 2 back-to-back shows he'll miss. He's definitely going to be at SummerSlam. SummerSlam, one of the biggest shows of the year, so he'll definitely be there. But
he better be SummerSlam for I'm asking for a fucking refund.
I definitely think I don't know if he's really going to do the part-time stuff. I'm not really sure yet. You can't really believe everything you see on the internet. So, like I said, only time will really tell of what this really means for Roman Reigns. And he's at the position where he pretty much has more freedom to do kind of what he wants now. You know what I mean? So maybe he's just getting started. Maybe this is just the beginning of his tribal chief run. I mean, he's been doing it for 2 years, but maybe he's about to be like going to full beast mode now. I'm saying he's about to just go all in. Or maybe he is going to take a little bit step back. So, you know what? I'm going to chill out a little bit more, and I'm going to spend more time with my family and relax. But if that's the case, then I definitely think he needs to drop at least one title.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to that, I mean, even if he does, let's say it continues like this is an opportunity for the WWE to elevate the U.S. and the Intercontinental title. I mean, you see what they're doing with the U.S. title on Raw and Austin Theory, and hopefully we're about to dive into SmackDown tonight, but we know that Gunther is now the Intercontinental champion, and I think that was a fantastic decision, and that in itself is going to elevate the Intercontinental title, and that can kind of be each show's main title, with the star attraction, the featured attraction, whether it's every single night or every other week, be the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. So it's an opportunity right there to take advantage of. I just feel like we as wrestling fans, we always ask for so much. We want it. And we're fickle too. We're fickle because then something happens. And it's like, no, I didn't want it like that. Or I wanted it this way. It's just like, look, we're all human. Let it play out the way it is. Cause I mean, hell, who knows? He might be dealing with a little bit of an injury right now, which is why he's taking some extra time off. So who knows?
Like I said, only time will tell. Only time will tell for the future. Nobody really knows what's going to happen yet. So I'm interested to see what happens. I mean, he'll be back for SummerSlam, but I'm hoping that he also defends the title of Money in the Bank. But, if he doesn't, I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world, because Money in the Bank is an exciting show no matter what, because of the ladder match concept. So I'm interested to see. The only time will tell. Hopefully they will. I would be a little bit more excited for Gunther, because I do like Gunther, aka Walter, being Intercontinental Champion, but WWE doesn't show they care about the title. So I don't really.
Well, that could change. That could change right now. That could change as of tonight.
It could.
That was a really good match too. That was a damn good match. I enjoyed that match a lot.
It could, but a lot of people thought the same with Ricochet when he first went in, and they didn't do nothing with him. A lot of people thought the same thing with Austin Theory, and he hasn't really done much with it either. I mean, he's defended it on one pay-per-view, but he still doesn't. The Intercontinental title, I mean, the U.S. title still doesn't feel like too important. You know what I mean, on the show. So
maybe not just yet. Maybe not just yet. But what they're doing with Austin Theory. He's the chosen one. He's the Anakin Skywalker for Vince McMahon. So they've got something.
Only time will tell. We'll see what happens with the titles. I mean, I hope so. Like I said, I'd be more excited if they show that they care about the mid-card titles, but they haven't in years. So I'm hoping that Gunther can have a good run as champion. Same with Austin Theory. But Am I sold on the idea that they will? No. We'll see what happens, though. I'm interested to see what goes down and the scenarios that play out. But a lot of good things going on in wrestling, too, guys. So, I mean, a lot of stuff going on. We'll also do more live streams, too. I know we did a couple watch alongs. We'll probably do more of those down in the future as well. And I'm sure we got some stuff coming for SummerSlam because you and I will be together. So, there'll be some stuff from.
It's going to be fun. Apparently, and we haven't touched on this, but apparently I lost the bet. So there's something big coming where I'm going to have to do something crazy, and we haven't quite decided on what that's going to be yet. So stay tuned for that because I am a bit of a daredevil in physical and mental aspects. So I'm not going to eat no bull's testicles or anything like that, but I will do something crazy. I promise you that.
No bull's testicles, huh? No. That's daredevilish. What do you mean? That's part of being daredevil.
I don't like big balls. Sorry.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah, we'll come up with an idea of which something you can do. We don't know exactly yet, but we'll definitely figure something out. And we also got more stuff for you guys coming too. We got more drafts. We're actually currently planning the next roundtable episode for you all too. So that's in the works. The next roundtable episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I know I got a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of y'all seemed like y'all enjoyed that. So roundtable episode coming soon, near the future, and a lot more stuff for the RWP podcast. So we appreciate the support and everything, guys. Make sure you guys follow all our social medias, Warriors Wrestling Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all social media platforms, Warriors Wrestling Podcast. Make sure you check us out. And it's always good to talk wrestling. Anything else? So one last thing you want to touch on, and one last thing you want to mention before we head out here?
No, I wanted to see before we close the show if anybody had some questions, if there was any questions out there for right now, or if everybody's just gone silent and enjoyed listening to us. We can close off with some fan interaction.
We could see if anybody has a few questions. You guys can throw a few questions in here real quick if you guys want to throw some out there.
I do want to touch on how much I enjoyed SmackDown as a show tonight. I know SmackDown has been below mediocre as of late, but I thought it was a really well put together show, especially with Money in the Bank coming up. We got to see Lacey Evans finally back in the ring, and that was great. I really enjoyed Gunther becoming Intercontinental Champion. That match was a banger, and the Riddle Sami Zayn match was fantastic too. So that was a lot of fun. If you guys didn't watch SmackDown, be sure to go check it out.
How do y'all think? How do you all think about the possibility of Bobby Lashley beating Roman just for the WWE title, since he never lost the WWE title? So the backtrack at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view back in February in Saudi Arabia, Bobby Lashley was WWE champion, but was taken out of that match because he was injured and everything. So even though he did lose the match, he was never pinned or submitted to lose that title. You know what I mean? So he still has a legit claim to get that title back. What do you think about that scenario? Are you for that, or?
So I'm not one to split the titles. I want the titles I want them to unify and actually make just one title. If they decide not to and to split the titles up again, I am definitely for this. I wanted to see Bobby Lashley inserted into the WrestleMania main event with Roman and Brock to make it a triple threat. Being that once they announced him coming back, I thought it was, they should have thrown him in there, being that he never lost the title. So, and I think Bobby should be one of the ones that do take down Roman Reigns, whether that's for one title or for both titles. Bobby is a main event guy. He's got the look, he's got the build, he's got the physicality. He might not be the best on the microphone, but that doesn't matter. Bobby Lashley is a legitimate badass, and he should be one of the top guys, period.
One of the most intense, maybe top 5 most intense superstars ever when it comes to intensity. I mean, he definitely has that intensity factor and believability behind him. So I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea if they took just one title off Roman. I think that's probably what I'd prefer that, honestly, than Roman losing both titles, because I want to see him hold the Universal title longer. So I'd like the idea of him dropping the WWE title to somebody. If it's Bobby Lashley, then keeping the Universal Championship for a longer period of time. So, because I want to see him pass up Hulk Hogan's record. I want to see him. That would instantly solidify his legacy even further. I feel like if he beat Hulk Hogan's record, which had stood for 30-something years, you know what I mean? So, what AEW superstar will go to WWE? Who do you think the next AEW superstar will be to jump ship?
I think anybody who has strong ties with Cody Rhodes for sure. I definitely don't think they're just going to bring in some average Joe Schmo from AEW. If they bring in anybody, it's going to be somebody that can benefit business. So whether that's an MJF,
You got to pick somebody. You got to pick one person. Who's
if there's one person that what AEW star will go to W. If there's one person I could pick right now, yeah, it's got to be MJF.
I'm going to say Kenny Omega. If there's one person,
Ooh.
I think Kenny Omega is going to go there eventually. He's done everything there is to do in wrestling, besides go to WWE and have a great career and succeed. So I think that's the last thing on it for him to do, and I do think he will go there eventually because I know he visited WWE headquarters and everything when AEW was first starting to come around. And one of the main reasons that he didn't go there was for the creative control and for his friends were in AEW. But I mean, I heard he was close to maybe considering it, and I think eventually he'll go there. I think he's just something on his list that he just feels like he'd have to at least go there and see what the experience would be like. So mine would be Kenny Omega.
It's very nice. I'd love to see that too.
Ooh, 2011 Punk or 2014 Daniel Bryan. Who was better and who was more over? You have to pick. Somebody actually asked me this on my Instagram the other day.
Lord Cinnabon, what a debate, what a decision that you are making us.
So as far as better wise, Daniel Bryan's run was executed better than CM Punk's Summer Punk run, because it ultimately ended with Daniel Bryan winning the titles at WrestleMania and everything in the main event. So I don't think it gets any better than that. Moreover, they both were over like fuck, man. Like CM Punk was getting great reactions, but so was Daniel Bryan. Excuse me. What about you? Which one are you picking?
Yeah, I'm going solidly on the 2014 Daniel Bryan. Again, I think I've mentioned this to you. I've never seen a crowd reaction the way that I did when the Yes Movement took over Raw. I'm not taking anything away from 2011 Punk and how over he was, but it was a copy and paste version of the Ring of Honor Summer of Punk. So it was kind of like it was already done. So that's I'm gonna put that into account. Where the 2014 Daniel Bryan run, the Yes Movement had never been done before. So in the ring, Daniel Bryan is better. Period. And who was more over? Yeah, I'm going Daniel Bryan all the way.
I'm going with CM Punk for me. CM Punk made at that time, man, he just made me feel more things in wrestling than Daniel Bryan did during the Yes Movement. I mean, I was all in for the Summer of Punk, the reactions. I never heard any talk about crowd reactions. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that Money in the Bank pay-per-view as far as crowd reaction.
That was good.
As far as one crowd being behind one person and not, I mean, it just his Summer of Punk just wasn't executed the way it should have been. He should have never lost Triple H and Night of Champions. That was meaningless. Kevin Nash, nobody cared about him at the time, so why was he involved? It just wasn't executed the way that it should have been. Daniel Bryan's whole storyline was executed perfectly. Built him up as the ultimate underdog from SummerSlam all the way to WrestleMania. So his was executed more perfectly, but CM Punk was so over to me. I if they really wanted to, he could have replaced John Cena as the face of the company. They just chose not to because they just didn't see him as that, and they didn't want him to be the face of the company. But he was that over. I mean, is CM Punk's the white CM Punk T-shirt. That's one of the most sold WWE merch T-shirt sales of all time. It's up there with the Austin 316 shirt, the Hulkamania T-shirt, and the CM Punk white T-shirt. Those are the top three most selling WWE T-shirts of all time. So that says a lot of how over that man was and how much people wanted him to be in that spot. And I really believe he could have replaced John Cena as the face of the company. They just chose not to put him in that spot because they obviously didn't like CM Punk to begin with. You know what I mean? He was like I said, he was too, I think he was too much anti WWE, you know what I mean? Too anti-rebellious. He just not the guy that, is kissing ass and, just speaks. Maybe sometimes he goes out the ring and speaks too much than they want him to. Like, hey, you didn't really have to say that. You know what I mean? Like, you weren't supposed to do that for you. You know what I mean? So I just feel like because of who CM Punk is and his character, I just feel like they were never going to put him above John Cena. And I don't know if they would have put Daniel Bryan over Cena either because he got injured. So we'll never really know what his run could have been like as champion. But they both are really over. Ring wise, Daniel Bryan's definitely better than CM Punk in ring wise. But as far as to me, who was more over, I'm gonna say CM Punk.
All right, agree to disagree.
I mean, CM Punk maybe he was first superstar. I told you he's first superstar to make root against John Cena, so that says a lot right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of our when it comes to a lot of our opinions as well, there's always some biasness because I mean, you know, Malik, he's a big CM Punk fan. This guy right here, Scott Michael, not so much. So, but I mean, I still try to put a lot of logic into it too. So, I'm gonna stick with mine. Daniel Bryan over CM Punk. 2014 over 2011.
Well, it's not more so just bias for me because 2014 Daniel Bryan was up there, but I think it's just more so, like I said, like Punk's T-shirt, one of the top 3 most selling T-shirts of all time. You know what I mean? It's just like there's different factors that I think play into it of why CM Punk was more over it. His just wasn't executed the way Daniel Bryan was executed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan got the ultimate story that was good from start to finish. CM Punk only had a good beginning and a terrible ending. You know what I mean? So. And that was obviously unfortunate to his power. I mean, there's nothing he could do about that. But what Rock versus Austin match was better, 15, 17, or 19? What was the best match for Rock and Hogan? Rock and Austin for you at WrestleMania? Mine's not even close. It's unanimous for me.
I'm gonna say WrestleMania 17, except for the finish. The match was great. The match was probably the best out of the 3. The heel turn and the join up with Vince McMahon, that was just complete unnecessary, and it was terrible. It was just something I don't think anybody wanted to see. Shock value set aside, but the match itself, what Rock versus Austin was better. I guess he's not talking about match, but I'm going to say match. I'm going to say WrestleMania 17.
In this order, 17, 19, 15. Those were in that order. Those were the best. Do you think the wrestling community is toxic? Definitely, 100%. It definitely is toxic.
Absolutely.
And probably a lot of communities that are toxic, though. I mean, Star Wars community, the MCU community, DC community, the sports community. If you're in a community, I think a lot of communities are toxic. You know what I mean? So definitely wrestling is definitely toxic for sure.
There's toxicity in every facet of life. As a bartender, you know, you can't make everybody happy. And unfortunately, wrestling fans are just more vocal about it than anybody else. So that creates a heightened sense of toxicity as well.
Have you ever watched TNA wrestling? I used to love TNA back in the day. It was a big TNA guy. I don't know if you watched TNA. Were you familiar with back in the day?
Yes, I didn't watch it consistently, but I watched it. I was at the I think it was the 2007 Slammiversary right here in Nashville, where nice. It was the King of the Mountain. So yeah, I watched TNA. I just didn't watch it religiously.
Right here, a superstar that everyone loves that you never did.
You know, probably CM Punk. I really tried. I even bought the shirt. I bought the shirt when he came back to AEW. I was super excited, super pumped. It gave me the feels. It gave me chills. It was one of the best pops I've ever seen in the sport of professional wrestling. But I just and then almost immediately, it was just too much CM Punk. But even before that, I never was really that big on CM Punk. He always claimed to be the best in the world, and I always found flaws in his in his in-ring work, and so he just never clicked with me.
Rey Mysterio. Don't dislike Rey Mysterio, but I was never a huge Rey Mysterio guy. Never a big Rey Mysterio fan. Mainly, I guess I just never really found myself rooting for him a lot. I guess you could say, I just never really found myself on the Rey Mysterio bandwagon train. You know what I mean? I never really was a big Rey Mysterio type fan. Mainly, I think too more. I was always an Eddie Guerrero guy more than Rey Mysterio guy too. So I think that kind of plays a factor. I was always Team Eddie Guerrero. So I like Rey Mysterio. I don't dislike him. But as far as my favorite, he was never just one of my personal favorites. You got another one you want to throw out there? We'll throw out another one. We'll throw out a few if you want.
CM Punk. Let me see. One that everybody loves that I never did.
Maybe somebody you didn't dislike, somebody you just never rooted for them a lot. Like I was never their fan.
Yeah, a lot of people thought this man deserved and still deserves to be a world champion. I don't think he ever deserved to be a world champion, and that's Jeff Hardy. I just don't. I don't think he's that good. I love Jeff Hardy and I respect Jeff Hardy. Or let me rephrase that everybody loves. I respect Jeff Hardy. I just don't like him as much as everybody else does.
I wouldn't say he never deserved to be the world champion. He was so over at one point in WWE, especially during that run. He definitely needed the world title. But Jeff Hardy was going to be my answer as well. I was never a big Jeff Hardy guy, I guess you could say. I liked him during his run, and I wanted him to be. I liked when he became WWE champion, and I guess for me, Jeff Hardy was always facing people that I liked more. I guess like I like CM Punk more, so when he was feuding against CM Punk, like I like CM Punk more than Jeff Hardy. When he was feuding against Triple H, I like Triple H more than Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean? Like he was always just feuding against guys that it just found it was hard for me to root for Jeff Hardy because they always put him against guys that I liked more. You know what I mean? So I think that was always kind of the gripe for me, except for his run in TNA though. When he was in TNA, I liked Jeff Hardy a lot more. Actually, in TNA when he was in WWE instead of WWE. The 2010 to like 2013, 2014 run, I was big on Jeff Hardy then. I liked Jeff Hardy a lot, actually, when he was in TNA during that time. But when he was in WWE from like that 08 to 09 run, I liked him, but I just feel like he was always facing people that I just liked more than him. And it was just hard for me to root against him because they put him against guys that I liked more.
Yeah, I just never believed that he never convinced me that he was top guy material. So that's just how I feel.
Let me see. We'll go through Voices or Burning My Lights. Voices, no question for me.
Well, I'm sorry. Forgive me. What is Burning My Light?
The theme song, Burning My Light theme song.
Whose?
Randy Orton's first theme song, the Burning My Light theme song.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know that. This is why I'm so bad at the whole theme song game that we play, because apparently I don't know theme songs for shit. But yeah, voices by far. I remember the first one, and it was when he would come out with the fireworks and the sparkles behind him and everything like that. But Voices is one of the dopest theme songs, period.
Which Cena feud are you taking? Cena versus Edge, Cena versus Orton, or Cena versus Rock? Oh, good solid feuds. Definitely Cena versus Edge for me though. That's
yeah. I was gonna let the Cena man take it, but I'm just gonna just jump in there and say Cena versus Edge because I felt like it was much more personal between the two.
I always liked Cena and Edge feud, and plus I hated Edge as a kid too. So we'll do a couple more. Favorite personal rivalry in WWE right now. I would say the whole Judgment Day stuff. I'm intrigued by that, so I'm gonna see where that's gonna go. So that's got my attention for sure.
Yeah, there's that. I was going to say the Seth and Cody. I have thoroughly enjoyed that so much. And I'm enjoying everything that's going on between Riddle, Orton, and the Bloodline. So those are some of my favorites. The Edge and AJ that culminated into the faction, everything, of course, that's fantastic. But you chose that one, so I'm going to choose something else.
All right, we'll do this one. 5 of the most underrated superstars. That's a good question. Some of the most.
Oh, didn't we just talk about this?
Let's see. So when we say okay, I'm definitely gonna say Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is up there. Christian, Razor Ramon, aka Scott
Razor.
We'll
throw in Mr. Perfect.
I don't know if he was really underrated. I just feel like he was underutilized in the company.
Okay. Let's combine those terms. Let's underrated and underutilized.
Okay, so if we're doing that, then I would say Dolph Ziggler, Christian, Razor Ramon, Owen Hart, and I'm gonna say Rusev. For my last one, Rusev was world championship material for me. He definitely should.
Hell, I think he's still being underutilized in AEW.
Yeah, I think
he's definitely underrated. Rusev, Miro, he deserves to be world champion. I'm highly disappointed that he has not made it there yet.
You got somewhere you want to throw out? I'm gonna say Goldust too. Dustin Rhodes, very
Dustin Rhodes. Yeah, he's because of the gimmick.
I'm talking about the gimmick. The Goldust gimmick back in the day was very.
But that's never gonna get him to the world title picture.
It wasn't, but okay. Let me rephrase that. For him to have that type of gimmick and be as good at it and get it as over as he did, very incredible.
Yeah. Underrated. I'm gonna throw in Andrade. I think Andrade is phenomenal.
Yeah. The Miz, underappreciated.
I don't feel like he's underrated or underappreciated at all. I feel like so many people like put him at the top of their list for everything and give him the credit that he deserves. He doesn't necessarily have to be WWE champion, and I don't think he should be. Because he's been there before, but he don't need a championship run to do what he's doing. He's doing good things. He's doing big things. I'm gonna
throw Sheamus in there as well. I think Sheamus is underappreciated.
Yes, Sheamus is so underrated and so underappreciated. I mean, just tonight with his match with Drew McIntyre.
My last one. This one is a legend too, man, and he's a future Hall of Famer. But I feel like he isn't talked about enough when people talk about some of the best of their time. Batista, extremely undervalued, I feel like. I don't think people give him enough credit for the work that he put in and the stuff that he did. People always talk about Randy Orton or Edge or Cena or The Undertaker. Nobody even talking about Batista, man. I feel like Batista is a little overvalued. There was a point in time when Batista was the biggest star in the company. He was a great babyface at one point, and he proved that he can be a really good heel when he turned heel. Multiple time world champion, he won 2 Royal Rumbles and everything, but people never really talk about him being up there and among the all-time greats. So I feel like he's a little overvalued.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with you on that one. I mean, off the top of my head, I'd have to go back and and think about this more. But we definitely got some. You got Ziggler, you got Owen, you got Razor. What were the others you mentioned? Yeah, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, stuff like that. So yeah, those are definitely Owen Hart. Dolph Ziggler's probably the number one underrated, underappreciated guy in the company. And unfortunately, in my opinion, I think it's just solely due to his size.
I think Dolph would probably be my number one as well. Maybe not even just in the company, but all time. I think he'd probably be my number one, honestly. Like, so many opportunities for that guy. All right, you guys. Well, thank you guys for your questions. And make sure you guys tune into the next live stream during the future. Make sure you guys subscribe to all our social medias, World Wrestling Podcast, on all social media platforms. And make sure you guys stay on the lookout. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and be on the next lookout for the next episode of the podcast. Until next time, Scott, it's been a pleasure.